Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. We're taking a look here today at BTT, which is BitTorrent, and this is actually a fun fact. This is my very first coin that I covered in my channel back in April. And here we are, 4 months later, and what, 12,000 strong? Thank you so much to all my community members. You're fantastic. You make this all very much worthwhile. And also to my patrons too, thank you, M, more specifically for recommending that I cover this, because this is a very good coin, obviously about to break out. I think it's very much well worth a good swing or hodl trade here at this point. Obviously, we want to manage and mitigate our loss by moving our stop losses up accordingly. We'll talk about that here today as well. But without further ado, I need to let you know, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should do your own research and always take ownership of your own trades. I say that every single time because it's important you learn as much as you can from as many people as possible. So don't just take everything you learn here today and apply it. Even though it's 80% successful for me pretty consistently, there's still a lot of little nuances, a lot of things you got to learn over time, and it just takes time to practice, right? I've been in the industry for 15 years. I've learned a lot, and you just kind of get an eye for it after a while. All right, so just know that moving forward, you're in good hands, of course. And why don't we just go ahead and jump in the charts? Let's check it out. Let's take a look. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at BTT. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, just so we get a baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on. Because if we don't look at that, we don't understand all the angles, there's usually always a correlation between the two and what coin we're looking at. Whether or not it's ERC20 blockchain or just Bitcoin being Bitcoin, we need to know what that looks like. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Just before we do, of course, why don't we take a look here at Bitcoin? And just to preface, I use TradingView.com desktop application, and this is essentially just the best charting tool you could utilize. It's built within a lot of different exchanges, but for the most part, I like the standalone version because it just works very well. I use the paid version too, so I can get all the indicators present at any given time. So if you're interested in that, link in the description below. There's a discount for a free month. Check it out, see if you like it. Other than that, that's just kind of what you're looking at here, of course, if you're not already familiar. Moving on, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart here for Bitcoin. And what I like to look at first is just to quickly identify support and resistance levels. 50,000 is still a major resistance level because it has not closed yet on the one-day chart. The 46,800 is a pretty strong support level that proved itself recently twice, even when we had an ascending wedge pattern forming, broke above, which was awesome. Moving forward as well, we have 44,000 as another secondary or tertiary support, depending on how you look at it. And then also note too, both the moving averages are working as support levels right now. We've got the 50 trending behind the price, which is fantastic. It's definitely below, and same with the 200 as well. So they're both slowly moving up to kind of provide us with these nice support levels. So there's a strong chance that Bitcoin will close above 50,000 in the near future. It may even do that today here, but just keep in mind the amount of volume is much lower on the weekends than on the weekdays. So sometimes resistance levels that are set on the weekends are a little less reliable, but we'll see here. So far, that's what's going on with Bitcoin. When it comes to Ethereum, I would say similar scenario normally, but no, Bitcoin's been doing a lot worse than Ethereum. See, this is what happens with Ethereum. It goes sideways for a while. Bitcoin did too, but now Ethereum broke out and stayed really strong. So look at this here. It broke its resistance of 3250, went on a tear, tested its resistance of 3550, and then came all the way up to 4,000, and now it's trailing down. So all in all, Ethereum is doing very good. There's a great chance it's going to test and break through its previous all-time high, and that is right here at about $4,050. Okay, so sorry, 4150 is what I meant to say. 4150 is the resistance slash previous most recent all-time high. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We're not far away from that. What is that? That's approximately right around 7% away from its all-time high territory. So all in all, good stuff for Ethereum. So congrats to those holding positions in the 2,000-3,000 range, or even lower, of course, if you were smart enough to get in before it took off for the first time earlier this year. So looking at BTT here, let's go ahead and take a look at the one-day chart first, which is the best thing to do at all times. Just to quickly identify some support and resistance levels, I can see an obvious one right here. I mean, if you look at this here, you can tell that this is a strong resistance at about 4.0048. We'll go ahead and mark that. And the reason why it's a resistance, obviously you can see here, tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, 5 days in a row, and then rejected. tested once more here yesterday, and is trying again today and broke below. So it's been tested now 7 times and rejected. Therefore, it will likely break soon. And the reason I say that is because the more often you test a resistance, the more likely it is to break. Okay, so there's a strong chance it's going to happen. Also keep in mind the 200 is pushing its way up here, holding as a nice strong support. So it may not happen today, but BitTorrent will break that resistance, and it'll likely squeeze out a lot of short positions. So keep that in mind as well. So if you have a position open right now, and obviously you're in the profit, consider moving your stop loss up to just below the 0.004, just say, for example. So that way you still take profits regardless, but you probably don't even need to worry about that considering the fact that we've got 2 strong support levels moving up. And keep in mind too, this 50 will catch up with the 200 eventually, and that creates a golden cross, and that usually drives the price up. Okay, so I think BitTorrent is on the verge of a breakout right now. So I think I'm going to probably go ahead and send a signal out to my community here, based on the sentiment alone. So BitTorrent's looking very good right now. It's about ready to explode. And again, Bitcoin closes 50,000 or higher. We're looking to be in pretty good shape here. Okay, because again, that's going to instill confidence in the market that the price is moving from 50 to 60 instead of staying under 50,000, and that'll cause a lot of altcoins like this to take off. So this is definitely a good one. So thank you, M, for requesting that I cover this here today, because this is a pretty good little coin here. And fun fact too, my very first video in this channel back in April, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd, was BitTorrent. Okay. So I've got some ties to BTT. It's definitely a good coin because if you know the fundamentals on this one, it's actually pretty awesome. I've used BitTorrent for a long time. I think most of us have. We probably just don't even know that it's traded on cryptocurrency. Anyways, regardless of that fact, one-day chart looks very good. Let's see if we got any type of convergence. Yep, we just had a convergence on the MACD. So another likelihood of the fact that this could continue to push up and break out. So really all good signs here for BitTorrent. Let's go ahead and move on to the 4-hour. And as we can see, we do have a convergence on the MACD, but that makes perfect sense considering the fact that we did not break that resistance level, and it's now not even working as a support. So the price is coming back down. Therefore, there is a chance the price could come down to essentially test the support level of about 0.0044 with the 50, because the 50 is creating a support level there, but it's a little too early to tell. We're going to see how Bitcoin closes over the weekend and kind of go from there. But I would say that, honestly, any entry point between 0.004 and where the price is at right now, 0.0047, would probably still be a good entry based on the simple fact that it's got strong potential to reach heights. What was it? Was it a full cent? I forget if it hit that. Yeah, it did. It closed at like 1 cent and then retraced. So 1 cent is a major resistance. So we'll just go ahead and mark that as well for future reference. But long story short, it would be basically open season once we break this resistance level. It should be able to continue to move on up. There is another support potential resistance here. Let's go ahead and mark that too. Don't like the way that one is, but I don't like it in a good way because that's basically just a strong resistance there. So I would say 0.0063 is another major resistance. Once we get past this, it'll probably work itself into a channel between those two for a short while. Minus that, again, we've got, this is a 1-day chart. Let's go back to the 4-hour. We do have a divergence there, of course, but that's standard for this situation. But the price is above both moving averages. That's the important thing here. Furthermore, as well, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the 1-hour chart, kind of see if we're above or below the cloud. I think we're probably trending into it. Yep, we're below the cloud now. So honestly, it's usually not recommended to take entry when you're underneath the cloud because there's a strong chance the price will continue downwards. But based on the momentum and the way things are right now, there's a strong chance BTT very much will recover. So I would say those who are swing traders would still be a very good position. If you're day trading, you want to maybe hold off and wait. Because again, this could fluctuate between 0.004 all the way upwards of where the price is at right now, obviously further, but generally speaking, it could go down that far, right? And that's a significant price point there. I mean, you look at that, like down to 0.042 is about 12%. So again, if you're doing a swing trade here, you got to be expecting the price to come down and be in the red for a little while. But the likelihood of this coming up, breaking that resistance level, I think is very high. I think BTT is undervalued considering, because here's another thing we didn't look at. I want to point this out. What's the average true range for BitTorrent before the major sell-off from Bitcoin, right? Because April 17th was a major sell-off from Bitcoin. And we look at that here. That's this guy right here. This is a major sell-off from Bitcoin. So it actually didn't go down that far. I mean, actually, it's probably significant. That's about 30%. So that's about standard, actually. It just looks kind of flawed because it's such a big screen here, or, a lot's going on. But generally speaking, we went down 30%, as most coins did in that retracement from Bitcoin. And then, of course, we got May 19th here. That's a major sell-off from Bitcoin as well for the China candle, essentially. And the price went all the way down to 0.0026. So all in all, if you look at just before April 17th, BitTorrent was trending anywhere between 0.0076 and 0.010. In other words, 3/4 of a cent to 1 cent essentially was its range. Okay, and that's when Bitcoin was at 50 to 64,000. Okay, now Bitcoin's at 50,000 right now, and look how low the price is. So I don't know. When I see that kind of contrast, I recognize that there was an extreme amount of volume here, and that did push the price up perhaps even higher than it should have. The price didn't retrace significantly. Yes, it came down about 40%, but all in all, it kind of averaged itself out before April 17th to kind of stay in the range of 3/4 of a cent to a full cent. That means that BitTorrent should be at about 3/4 of a cent, or 0.0075 essentially, as a rough estimate, because Bitcoin was higher, if that makes sense. So I hope I'm communicating that correctly, but the bottom line is that the price is extremely undervalued, and I think that BitTorrent will likely see a strong increase here in the near future. Again, those are sentiments that I like to buy into. Those tend to work favorably, just based on the fact that it's, if it was this high at this price point for Bitcoin, why is it not there now? Well, obviously we had a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt that drove the price down, and people pulled out. But as we can see right now, there's an increase in volume. It may seem pretty small compared to this, yes, of course, but it's significant if you kind of compare it, to the last however long, right? So just keep that in mind. Good volume, good volatility. I like that the price is rejecting right there. It gives us a chance to buy in and get a good value. Moving on to the 1 hour, let's go back to the 1 hour rather. Look at TD sequential. Not much to note here. Seeing a bunch of retracements and or consolidation. We can kind of just forget we even looked at that because TD sequential is really only good in bull runs or bear runs, so we can kind of understand market exhaustion. But we're not exhausted because the price is kind of going sideways right now. Moving on to the 15. This is a case in point where just kind of, again, more of day traders, so to speak, but still helpful when you're swing trading because you still want to find a good entry point. Right now, it's not the best entry point because we're under VWAP, but we're also under support, right? So traditionally, you want to wait for the price to be above support levels, and then obviously have somewhat of a confirmation. For me, that's 30 minutes. So hypothetically, what I would plan to do is wait for the price to come above right here, right? Then I'd wait for 2 green candlesticks to close roughly in this area. And that would allow for me to verify, yes, we're above support, and yes, we're above, or we have confirmation of 30 minutes of bullish momentum moving in the right direction, right? Okay, so that's kind of what I'd like to look for. So just keep that in mind. You always want to have good confirmation when you take entry. Never try to buy the bottom or buy the dip, because this may not be the bottom. It could very well keep going down lower. We don't know that. And the bottom line here is the fact that the price is under VWAP. So this blue line here is considered a resistance right now. As a volume weighted average price, it's just taking the volume in the last 24 hours and expressing it as a price. Therefore, the price will probably stay below that area, right? So until it can break above and stay above, it's not considered a support. So me personally, I would love to see the VWAP, continue on, right? EMA push its way up, and then the price kind of work itself up here to break that support, or break that resistance, rather, make the VWAP a support level. Then of course, the price come above this support here as well, which has already defined itself as a major resistance, and then just go ahead and take entry at that point, right? I mean, sure, you can take entry right now, but there's a strong chance that the price will continue to come down. We don't know that yet, but if the price comes above and stays above and holds above, we're good. Again, none of this matters if Bitcoin keeps selling off and goes down to 46,800. If it goes down to the next major support level, then all this really doesn't matter, because BitTorrent is reliant on Bitcoin. There's no doubt about that. But BitTorrent also has, it's the people's coin, so to speak. It's one of those coins where a lot of people believe in it, a lot of people invest in it, but they need to see that value, and they need to understand that that's going to benefit them. So again, I guess long story short here, my prediction for BitTorrent, next month, 1 to 2 months, I would venture to guess we're going to see 0.0075, 3/4 of a cent, upwards of 1 cent, easy. I think it could even happen in the next couple weeks. But Bitcoin has to close above 50,000, start making higher highs and higher lows first. We need those 1-day charts to close above the major resistance levels. So for right now, BitTorrent, the major resistance is pretty much where the price action is at right now. It's 0.0048. And with Bitcoin, major resistance is basically 50,000 even. So if we can get Bitcoin to close above this line, we're going to be looking to be in pretty good shape for other coins to take off. Now, I'm not talking about just barely closing like it is right now. It would need to be substantial enough to kind of cause that. So if we see this line close really close to support or resistance, it's not going to matter too much. It's going to basically be a doji candle, and that could give us a sign that we might see a retracement. Anyways, big picture, that's kind of what we're looking at. I hope you did find benefit here. And again, if you like what you see here today, of course, I do this every single day in my trading, and I provide this to my community members. Link in the description below for that. Check out my premium Patreon account. See if you might like that, because we have a good group of folks there. We can all talk openly. I provide signals of all the trades that I take, entry point, best practice. Now, sell targets, profit targets, the whole 9 yards, kind of just help you go more so on autopilot and also learn along the way and not get wrecked. Because I'm very conservative, very safe with my trading. And I think you might benefit from that, and at least everyone else so far has. And we'll be able to hopefully see it there as well. So check that out. Sooner the better, of course, just because earlier in the month, the way that Patreon is, it's important to check that out soon. But regardless, thank you so much for joining me here today. I really do appreciate your time and support. Thank you so much to Em and my community members as well for all of your support. Wouldn't be here without you. You're awesome, wonderful, great people. Thank you. So have a great rest of your day. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care. Thank you.